We continue with dynamic memory allocation. So we know what is memory allocation. There are two types of memory allocation, static memory allocation as well as dynamic memory allocation. I hope these topics you might have studied in C, computer programming in C. So static memory allocation. So if I write something like int A, during compile time it is known how much memory is needed. So one integer variable and it is named as A. And during runtime we cannot remove this variable or we cannot increase the size of this variable. That is not possible. That is static. But in practice, most of the time we need dynamic or the changes every time there change that we need more space or we need to reduce the amount of space like that may be needed. So that is the importance of dynamic memory allocation. So before knowing what is dynamic memory allocation, it will be better if you know just adjust aside. Okay. If we know the architecture of memory in a computer system, general architecture. So when a program is running, the total memory can be divided into these things. That is, one area is called code, where the program instructions, that is, or the statements in the program, not exactly the high level language, it will be machine language. So if we write a C program, it will be compiled first, then compiled one, it will be object program, a machine language. That will be the program code which will be executed by the processor. So one part of the memory, it is reserved for storing the code of the program. And next part of is global area. So here all the memory is allotted for all global variables as well as static variables. So static variable, if you have a static variable, even if you have a function which accesses the variable, if we call the same function again, we can read or get the previous value. It's something similar to global variable. There are some difference. So static variable, some which have a sort of permanent storage throughout the life of program. So static and global variables. So these variables have the scope or lifetime of till the end of the program. So those will be given with a particular area of memory. And next one is called stack area. The stack area is for the functions or local variables. So it is like a stack data structure we studied. So suppose we have first function main, and main will have some variables, say A, B, C. Then we call some other function sum, and that will have some other value, say X, Y, Z. So this is local. So once, so a frame, it's called a stack frame. A frame will be allotted for each function, and inside that function, the local variables to that function. Then if this function called another function, then that, like that. And it is stack, what is the specialty? Whichever is on the last, that will be taken first. So from main, I call a function sum, then I call a function fn. Then once fn returns, then only it will come back to sum, then only it will come. So once main calls sum, then sum calls function. Then once execution of fn is over, only this, then this over this. So when fn is active, only the local variables in fn is active. The local variable in main is not active. So if you have a stack like of data structure, then we can easily implement this idea. So this stack area follows the same stack principle, and it is used for functions as well as local variables. And then we have the largest size of area. It is called heap. Heap is used for dynamic allocation. That is available for the programmer for allocating during the program dynamically. As and when need arises, ആവശ്യത്തിനനുസരിച്ച് നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് മെമ്മറി അലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം. സോ അതാണ് ആർക്കിടെക്ചർ. സോ കോഡ് ഏരിയ ഫോർ പ്രോഗ്രാം ഇൻസ്ട്രക്ഷൻസ്. Global area or stack area of the memory will be used for storing global variables as well as static variables, and stack area for storing each functions and its local variables, and the heap area for dynamic memory allocation. So this idea is needed to understand the coming topics. So this is just an things which we already told. The dynamic variables, that is from heap area, and this is stack area, and this is static or global area, and this is code area. Okay. So I told already an example. Suppose we have a function and it calls say factorial of n. Then in factorial function we have n into return. I'm not writing complete C program. Factorial, this is a recursive function. Factorial of n minus 1. And if n equal to 0, return 1. This is how. So this here we will have some int n and some, suppose I made it as I need to take 5, so that will be bigger x1. Say 2 or 3. So if n equal to 0 or n equal to 1, both are returned. So we can, so if these are all static allocations and local variables, so this n is a local variable here, and this n is another local variable inside factorial function. So the memory for this will be allocated from the stack area. I will draw a little bit in better manner. There are tools here. Okay. So when we have first main, so main, this area will be for main, and n equal to 3, and it's called factorial of 3. So next stack frame is allotted. So here we are called with the fact of 3, and so that n equal to 3 here, then we'll return 3 into fact of 2. So here fact of 2, and that will return 2 into fact of, so the again fact of 1 and return 1. So return 1, and once this is over, this will be returning 1, so that will be 1. And so this is over, then it will be 2 into 1, so 2, 3 into 2, then that will be returning 6. This is how it works. So this area will be stack memory, and this is static allocation, and these are all local variables. Whatever we have seen n in each, it is separate memory location. This n does not refer to the same memory location. It refers to separate memory location. So I'm telling these things in a little bit hurry manner. So if we have confusion, you can ask, no problem. I think you may be already familiar with this concept. Okay. Then we'll come to the heap area. What is heap? Heap is the size of heap is for a program is not fixed, and variables can be kept in the memory till the program ends. So we told a local variable, once that function, this is over, the value n equal to 1 or that n is lost. So it goes to the next one. Here value n is 3 and it is value n is 2 and it is a different location. And here value n equal to 3. So, but that scope is only during that local variable. Variables can be kept in the memory till the program end. That is heap. So when we have a dynamic memory allocation, that variables will be remaining in the heap till then. If we are reallocating, or if we are deallocating, that may be lost. Otherwise, that location or that value will be there. And there is no set of rules for allocation and deallocation. This rules means here in this static allocation, it is fixed where to allocate or when to allocate and when to deallocate, that is fixed. But here it is not fixed. The programmer decides when to allocate and when not to allocate, or when to deallocate. And this heap is completely free area for the programmer, and we can take the memory from there and allocate it. And this area of heap is also called dynamic memory, and using the heap is known as dynamic memory allocation. So I hope you studied this function in the computer programming in C. So in C, we use the following functions to do dynamic memory allocation, or allocating memory from the heap in the program. So the functions are malloc, calloc, malloc. Some people call malloc or malloc, and calloc or calloc, realloc, and free. And the first three is for allocating, and the last is for deallocating. It's there in the next slide. Okay. So this example, you may be familiar, a malloc example. So here we have an integer a. So actually that a is not used, so it's not needed. That doesn't matter. It's part of the program. Or int star p, and we are using p equal to int star malloc or malloc size of int. So what does this reserves? What is the size of integer? That many number of bytes are allotted from the heap, and that address is given to p. So we will have heap, large amount of memory, and from that some bytes are allotted. And what is the size of that number of bytes? It's equal to size of integer. So and if they are allotted at location 1000, the starting address of that, so integer may take 4 bytes. So if that's the case, 4 bytes are assigned. So in some system, integer takes only 2 bytes. In that case, it will take only 2 bytes. So that's why we use size of. So instead of writing 4 or 2 directly, if we take size of operator, then it will directly take whatever is the size in that system. System means depends on compiler or operating system. The size of integer, I think in Turbos it is 2 bytes. I think I don't know whether it's changed now. Previously it was like that. Whereas in GCC, I think it's 4 bytes. Okay. So p equal to int star malloc size of int. So this will reserve, say if it's 4 bytes, and the first address will be given to p. And when I assign star p equal to 100, star p means p is a pointer, and p has the address, first address after allocating this location. So it will contain the address of this, and there we are going to store 100. Okay, that is the idea, malloc. So if I just print p, what happened? It will print this address, the starting address of this allotted area, so 1000. And if I print star p, that will print 100. Okay. Then we have malloc, calloc, realloc, free. These are the dynamic memory management functions in C programming. And these are included in the standard lib.h header file. And for allocating, we are already told malloc, calloc, and reallocate. And deallocating, we have a free function. Okay. So coming to malloc, we already seen one example, but now we'll see what is a general syntax. So actually, sorry, there's a C extra, only one C, malloc. Void star malloc size t size. So malloc is a function which allocates a block of memory or a number of memory. How many memory locations it will allocate, that is given by the argument size t size. Size t is just unsigned integer, not unsigned integer. Unsigned integer. So as argument, how many number we give, that much number of bytes will be allocated. And normally malloc returns a pointer which is void type, so that it does not have any special type like integer or character or float. But while doing program, depending on what type of value we are going to store in the newly allocated area, we may typecast these two integers. So that is what we have done, typecasting. So this integer, in C you studied what is typecast, from one type to another conversion. So whatever we need to, so if I write int of 4.0, it is from 4.0 it is converted to int, or like that. So that's typecasting. You study, or cohesion you might have studied in last semester. So actually malloc returns a void pointer, since we are going to store in integer pointers, because in the newly allocated area we are planning to store integers. So we are typecasting into int star. That's the idea. So normally it is a void pointer, that you should remember. Malloc, the calloc as well as realloc, everything normally returns a void pointer. So we need to typecast into the required type. So if I write void star malloc of 10, what happens in the heap memory? I'll draw from here. In the heap memory, 10 locations will be created. Like this, it's not a 10, I'm not drawing, like etc. So 10 locations, 10 bytes, because void star be malloc of 10, and say 1000, the next byte will be 1001, like that up to 1009. This will be the byte, but it will return only the address of the first byte. So after this, if I just print p, it will be printing the byte 1000, not 1009, because this is the starting address or starting byte. And we, as I told earlier, we normally typecast to the required type and use the size of operator to get the size of the data type. So in this example, we are allocating for integer. So malloc 4 into size of integer. So we are allocating space for 4 integers. So from the heap, we are allocating space for 4 integers. And this one, so if this is address 2000 and suppose size of int equal to 4, in that case 2000, 2001, 2002 and 2003, and so next integer it will be at 2004, and 4, 5, 6, 7, so next will be at 2008, and this will be at 2012. So normally it is hexadecimal, so actually will represent A, B, C, but let it be 2. Actually it will be A, B. So we are not worried about the numbers here, so no problem. Normally in a computer representation it will be hexadecimal. So 12 stands for 10 is A, 11 is B, and 2. So 0, 1 is, that is C, and 200C. It is 200C, or whatever, that leave it. So anyway, hexadecimal. So we take the decimal. Suppose this decimal, it is 2000, 2004, 2008, and so this size of integer is 4, means if this will be the thing. So, and heap will have many more places. So heap is a large amount of memory. This is all heap, and from that this many locations are allotted. So that how many locations? 4 into size of integer. And now we are storing star p equal to 10. So star p equal to 10 means what is p? P will be the first address, so that is 2000. Star p means, so it points each location, each of these 4 locations for integer, and we are returning integer pointer. So the pointer will be pointing to an integer location, so we can store integer here. So star p equal to 10. And what is star p of plus 1? So p is 2000. So plus 1 means normal arithmetic is 2001, 2001. But in pointer arithmetic, it is different. Pointer arithmetic, it will be plus 4, not. So pointer arithmetic, if you are not remembering that, add 1 means add size of the data type. Here we integer ആണ്, integer 4 ആണെന്നാണ് assume ചെയ്തത്, അതുകൊണ്ട് 4 add ചെയ്യുന്നു. If it is a character has 1 byte, then it will be added with 1. P plus 1 means just adding 1. But if it is float and if it takes 8 bytes, then it will be added with 8. So if we add 1 to a pointer, need not add exact 1. Instead, it will be adding the size of the data which it points to. Then in this case, since we are taken size of is 4, so p plus 1 means 2004, and star of 2004 we are storing 20. So here 20, and star of p plus 2 means 2000 plus 2 into 4. So 2008, there we are storing 30, and p plus 3 is 40. And whatever with this p of 1, so this I told earlier, array name, this is similar to array. Array also, if you have a of 0, actually a is the name of the array. Name of the array will be acting as a pointer. So we can access a of 0, a of 1. Similar manner, if you have a p to the starting address, we can access p of 0, p of 1, 0, p of 0, p of 1, etc. So p of 1, 100 means this 20 will be changed to 100. So p of 1 is, that is equal to p plus 1 star. That's another name for p of 1. Okay. So next is calloc, and when we have malloc, so here we have assigned with 20, 30, etc. But normally, initially once we do the malloc, it will be some garbage values. So when we assign this 10, 20, 30, 40, that is overwritten with actual values. So we coming to calloc or calloc. In calloc, it's also a similar syntax. Here also there is a parenthesis. And size, interpreter size, but the syntax, there is a slight difference. So here the number of locations to be assigned, that will be a different argument. So if I want to allocate using malloc, I will write 4 into size of integer, size of. But if when it comes to calloc, it will be 4 comma size of. That's a syntactical difference. So it also returns a void pointer which has the address of the first byte, and 0 to take 2 arguments that we told. This is the 2 arguments. And the only difference or calloc is continuous allocation. That is calloc, contiguous or continuous. Both are okay. Continuous allocation. That's it. But so it allocates a block, and once it is allotted, and the initial value will be 0. That's the idea. So simple example in the star p equal to c alloc 4 comma size of integer. So when we do programs malloc or calloc to the user, it may give the same feeling. Internally, there are may have some difference. Now is realloc. So realloc is for changing allocated memory, changing size. It's there in the slide. Change size. So to increase the size of the block, then we have two arguments. One is already we have allocated. So in this previous example, in this star p equal to 0. So p. So we need to have realloc. Which pointer we need to realloc p, and what is the new size, say 10. So previously we are allotted with 4. Now we are allotting 10 integers or like that. So so it will be changed to the new size. So the to increase the size of the block, the machine may create entirely new block sometimes. So this, suppose we are already changing this, already we have 4 location, and we are going to change to size to 10. So already we have 4, and we are going to change to 10. And sometimes this may be used by some other variables. So if the 4 need to change to 10, it is not possible. The continuous location is not available. In that case, the machine creates another block. So this 4 that is changed from here and some other place, and it becomes 10 location like that. Or if the continuous space is available, you can extend here itself 6 more places. That is the idea of realloc. And these are the 3 functions. So malloc, calloc, and realloc. These functions are used for allocating. And the last one for free, that is for deallocating or free or releases memory. And so free, just give the pointer name. So we, in this case, free p. In the previous example, we use p. So free p means whatever is allotted with the p, that will be released. So we have heap here. Suppose this p, this space is allotted for p using some malloc. Then when I say free, then this will be removed. And now that space is available to the heap, so that we can use it for other purposes. So once the use for that location is over, it is better to free that area. So it's always a better practice. Once the use for a memory, dynamic memory allocated is over, deallocate it, so that the same space can be used for some other purpose. So space is not wasted. So that is the purpose of free. So okay, we will stop here. And these topics, I think you already studied in the last semester. So if we need more explanation, please let me know. We can take them in the next class. So otherwise, we'll stop here. And from 2:30, we have exam.